Look, look, y'all. The Bengals are excited. Bengals fans, they're so excited because they got their big three back, okay? Their big three, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, they're back in full effect. But there's one, maybe two, big problems with the fact that they're paying so much money to three guys, and we gotta talk about it. Let's do it right here on the Be More Show. Stay tuned, get your popcorn, get your drink, and I don't know why the popcorn always up. Anyway, get your popcorn, get your drink, and come on back and let's talk about these Cincinnati Bengals, because you know there always got to be some AFC North news. There always got to be. And I'm just going to be honest with you, as a Ravens fan, I ain't scared no more. All right, look, y'all. Welcome into the Be More Show. I'm your host, DJ, and I'm back once again. Look. While you're hitting the subscribe button, we got to talk about these Cincinnati Bengals. I tell you what, man. It's funny. Last week, I told y'all how bored I was of the Ravens free agency strategy, and then they slip up on me, okay? And they come in with a big signing like they always do, with Derrick Henry, a Dez Bryant, DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham Jr., right? Calais Campbell, if you want to talk about trades from back in the day as well, right? Maybe a Marcus Peters, if we just want to talk about Ravens moves in general, okay? They sneak up on you sometimes. Sometimes Ravens moves sneak up on you. But I tell you what is never a surprise: the AFC North getting better, and let's just be honest, trying to compete with the Baltimore Ravens. Let's just be real. The Ravens are the top of the North. It don't matter how good the Steelers thought they were last year. That don't matter. It don't matter that the Cincinnati Bengals may have had their Super Bowl run and they felt good and they was one flag away. It don't matter. It don't matter that the Cleveland Browns signed Deshaun Watson, then signed Amari Cooper, then signed Jerry Jeudy. It doesn't matter. Picked up Jadeveon Clowney, paired him with Myles Garrett. They re-signed Myles Garrett. It doesn't matter. Everybody in the AFC North is trying to compete with the big dog. And I can say that with confidence right now. Trying to compete with the Baltimore Ravens. Look, y'all, this is about the Bengals. This ain't even about DK Metcalf. This ain't about DK Metcalf going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They signed somebody else too, didn't they? Didn't they sign somebody else? They signed somebody else who made me mad too. And it wasn't Malik. It wasn't Malik. It was somebody else who I was like, dang, I would have liked to have him. I know Najee slipped up out of there. Who was the other one? It was one more person. Let me find it real quick. Y'all just stay with me, okay? Darius Slay. I think that's who I'm thinking of. It was Darius Slay, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was Darius Slay. Because I was like, dang, that would have been nice. Right? I mean, if we're gonna go defense, But I mean, I feel okay about this defense. But interestingly enough, y'all, they didn't keep Justin Fields. So I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers might be a whole nother video in itself. This is about the Cincinnati Bengals, right? And their continued excitement for this big three that they claim to have, right? Here's the problem. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and T. Higgins make up a lot of the Cincinnati Bengals salary cap, right? I think honestly they're paying more for these three guys than any quarterback wide receiver duo, or probably quarterback receiver duo in general, right? I know tight ends don't get as much as receivers, but it's very interesting, man. It's very, very interesting because yes, we know that without T. Higgins, this offense cannot run. That's a fact. They can't. They're not good. Without T. Higgins, this offense is not good. But at the same time, we know how good Joe Burrow is. We know how good Jamar Chase is. And then, of course, you add T. Higgins into that mix and you get a really good offense. Here's the problem, one of two. Let's talk about the recency bias of the problem, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals defense. Trey Hendrickson is looking for work elsewhere, right? He got his Indeed open for work sign, right? His LinkedIn, I think it's LinkedIn. His LinkedIn open for work sign. All right, he got that around his profile picture right now. He looking for work. I wish that the Bengals would trade in division, but they ain't gonna do that. Okay, they ain't gonna do that. They ain't gonna do that, but that's fine. Okay, but I will say, this defense ain't getting any better. They're gonna have to depend on a very young defense to get the job done. I feel like because they're gonna have to build through the draft because they can't have any money. Which I mean, we've said it in the past. We felt like other teams ain't no way they got money, and somehow they pulled money out of somewhere. I don't know if they was investing it. They pulled out the Dow. I don't know what they was doing. Okay, but I will say, man, I mean, pulling out 401ks early. I don't know, but I will say the defense is going to be a problem for them because they couldn't stop nobody last year. And it wasn't like the Ravens where early in the season, the Ravens couldn't stop nobody. But late in the season, they turned it around, right? The Bengals didn't. They didn't turn around at all. It didn't get any better for the Bengals. So there's that. There's that aspect of it. But there's also this reoccurring problem that even when it came to a trip to the Super Bowl and a chance to win a Lombardi, they still didn't fix it. They didn't fix it the year before. They didn't fix it the year after, or at least what they've done hasn't worked in terms of fixing that offensive line. So you trying to tell me you got two of the best receivers in the game, you got one of the most talented quarterbacks in the game, two of the best receivers in the game, but you got no defense, a defense that can't stop anybody, and an offensive line that, well, for lack of a better term, can't stop anybody. This is why I'm not worried about the Bengals, right? Because we know how the Bengals, we know what the Bengals are going to do. The Bengals are going to come out next year. They're going to start really slow because they always do. They're going to start really slow and they're not going to be able to keep up. They're going to find their way probably about midway through the season and it's just going to be too little, too late. But I think with the problems they're going to end up having with the fact that they have so much money in these three offensive players, the problem is going to be if they do lose Trey Hendrickson, which I think they're going to, because they already used their tag, right? They used their tag on T, right? They used their tag on T and then proceeded to re-sign him. But anyway, regardless, the Trey Hendrickson situation, without him as your elite guy, your elite pass rusher, this defense is going downhill and going downhill fast. Imagine, might be guessing here, but I'm pretty sure, imagine leading the league in sacks last year and still having one of the league's worst defenses. Imagine you take that away, because I've always said the key to everything is pressure, right? The key to everything is pressure. When it comes to on the offensive end, it's not giving up pressure. When it comes to the defensive end, it's getting pressure because it don't really matter. I promise you, I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna leave that alone. But look, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I'm not scared about the Bengals. I think there's been other signings throughout the AFC North throughout the years that I was a little more concerned about. I think I kept a brave face on for Deshaun Watson when that happened. I think the Russell Wilson aspect for Pittsburgh and honestly turned out pretty good for him. I think that was one to think about at the time, right? I mean, I think even with the Browns grabbing like Jadeveon Clowney and grabbing like Odell, if we want to go back, go back that far to grabbing Odell, grabbing Jarvis Landry, having that combination. I think that was another conversation, that made me a little more nervous than this team. But it's like, I don't feel like this team really has their base, right? They're building they're building higher and higher levels and penthouses, but they ain't got the foundation, right? So we'll see what happens. Look, y'all, let me know what y'all think below. Are y'all scared of the Bengals? I'm personally not. I'm not worried about the Bengals, right? I'm not worried about the Bengals because the Ravens have played well against the Bengals and they've been just as talented as they are, and probably the most talented that they'll be, or that they've been over the past couple of years, with Joe Burrow on his rookie year, with T on his rookie year, with Jamar on his rookie year, his rookie, not rookie year, but rookie contract. So let me know below what y'all think. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. As always, I want to let y'all know that the Be More Show is on all major podcasting platforms. So you gotta check us out. If you gotta take us with the gym to you, that's not even. Anyway, if you gotta take us to the gym with you, let me know. Let me know if you enjoy the audio platforms as well. But we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Be More Show. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already as well. Until next time.